Seeing Mike Gundy pop up on so many hot seat lists used to be unfathomable, especially with today's depth chart, which we're going to review. Yet here we are. And unfortunately, Mike Gundy is fighting something that everybody else on this list is not.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your top stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day State. Today, we're partially brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first entire year. Get with Monarch Money today. Meanwhile, we get to slide into this hot seat designation classification that is coming out that does have Mike Gundy mixed in this. There's multiple publications that have put out their Big 12 hot seat list. And some guys like Brent Brennan, deservedly so, is going to be at the forefront of these lists because he has not been able to produce. He has not been able to recruit. He has not been able to retain all of his talent. And I don't think he's been super successful in the transfer portal era. So if Arizona doesn't have a big season or at least a 7-win style of season, Brett Brennan is absolutely gone. I think when you look at Scott Satterfield, unfortunately, he was replacing what Luke Fickell was able to do at Cincinnati, lead them to the BCS Final Four. And it's really hard to live up to that. And since Luke Fickell left, Cincinnati has steadily been backsliding. Scott Satterfield is in a slightly precarious position this year. It's a must-win season for him. But Mike Gundy is also in the same boat. But unlike everybody else that we're going to talk about and the two dudes we just talked about, Mike Gundy's designation doesn't have much to do with performance or on-field football. Go figure. Football coaches being on a hot seat for non-football related things. Now, of course, the Board of Regents is not going to sit by idly with all of this egg on their face. Having Dr. Schrum and Chad Weiberg and other individuals kind of help orchestrate Mike Gundy's new deal, the Board of Regents clearly, from the people that have been fired and the people who have not been contract renewed, they had a target on their back. So does Mike Gundy. I think the Board of Regents is just looking for a reason to get rid of him because for a couple hours over the summer, they thought that they were already moving on from Mike Gundy. And unfortunately, I think that once the Board of Regents got that little taste in their mouth, it's really hard to get rid of. And again, they looked kind of weak in the process. I've never heard of any other time where the Board of Regents was completely bypassed and worked around to get a deal done. So Mike Gundy, in my opinion, is number one on the hot seat list, but it has nothing to do with the talent on the field. I think Mike Gundy firing everybody and bringing in this staff has bought him at least another season, no matter what happens this year. I think that the NIL experience this season is going to be considerably different. The talent's better. The speed's better. The physicality is significantly better. But if it doesn't equal a 7, 8, 9-win season, I do think, unfortunately, Mike Gundy is squarely in the crosshairs of the Board of Regents. Now, again, there's multiple publications that have come up with some stuff. The Mercury News just put out something comparable. Yeah, they have Mike Gundy essentially in the top 3 of the coaches with the biggest hot seat next to Brent Brennan, Scott Satterfield. I think that's fair. I think whenever you even go over, you look at On3 or Heartland Sports put out their designations. And according to, Bet Online, Mike Gundy is number 8 in the top 10 of the highest odds for coaches getting fired. Next to Brett Brennan, Scott Satterfield, then Mike Gundy. All 3 of those coaches in the Big 12 were in the top 10 of the most insecure jobs in the country. And the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. So I went to make this list, and then I stumbled upon this On3 article, and their ranking was actually almost identical to what mine was going to be. So we're just going to spiel off of here. They have Mike Gundy as the number 1 hot seat candidate in the Big 12. And because of the reasons we just mentioned, I unfortunately have to agree. Mike Gundy is fighting a war that has little to do with the success on the football field. With 169 and 88 record, he should be afforded an opportunity. The thing that Mike Gundy did was he addressed the elephant in the room, and that's what he hadn't been doing the years prior. He was looking at Casey Dunn and saying, yeah, he deserves another year. Charlie Dickey deserves another year. McIndoe deserves another year. Rattay, all of them. You cannot look at the production. You cannot look at the playbook. You cannot look at the inability to win big ball games and continuously say Casey Dunn is the guy. But that's what Mike Gundy was doing. So Mike Gundy could have been, should have been, would have made sense to have been on the hot seat if he was continuously refusing to acknowledge the issues. But he did all that. And then we upgraded our staff significantly. We're paying our staff big boy money. Instead of one or two dudes making top dollar, we're paying significant money to a bunch of individuals to help them in recruiting and help them solidify the roster talent. They had Brett Brennan, number 2. Obviously, I agree. You can't have Tedero McMillan, who's either the best or the second best wide receiver in the country this previous season, one of the best up-and-coming quarterbacks in the country, and be fairly abysmal. Scott Satterfield, we've already mentioned why he deservedly is on the Scott hot seat at number 3. They've got Sonny Dykes at number 4. I'm right there with it. Sonny Dykes takes TCU to a national title. He's basically been accused of doing it with the Gary Patterson roster. Locked on's Gary Patterson, mind you. So he has to win. You cannot go to the national title game with somebody else's roster, essentially, and then continuously fall flat. I think TCU's going to have a good year, but he does deservedly fall at number 4 on this list. Next would be Joey McGuire. Texas Tech fans are waiting for the pop-off moment for Joey McGuire. And when you go out and you start spinning big-time Miami, A&M, Mizzou style of money for your roster, you have to win. You've put yourself in a position that if you're paying for the top-notch talent, you have to have a top-notch level season. Anything under 7 to 8 wins, I think for Joe McGuire is unfortunately a death sentence. They have Dave Aranda, number 6. I agree with this. I personally think Dave Aranda is kind of overrated. He has a 31-30 overall record. He did win a Big 12 title over Oklahoma State. So, of course, I'm going to hold some animosity there. But I think this makes it. Scott Frost, number 7, kind of a middle ground, being a first-year dude that did lead them to an undefeated season before he went to Nebraska and had his issues. I think this makes sense. Rich Rod, West Virginia, number 8. I think that's fair, right? Again, kind of in the middle ground dudes that are probably pretty safe. He does carry a significant amount of cachet in West Virginia country. So I think potentially you could bump him down a little bit more. But this is fair. Number 9, they have Willie Fritz. I agree. They're going to give him some time to do what he did at Tulane in Houston. This is a big year. They do have a schedule that lines up pretty well for them, but they have to capitalize. Number 10, they have Kalani Sitake. Again, my list and this on-3 list was almost identical, so I'm all for it here. Number 11, Lance Leipold. I'm with it. I get it, right? But he has to produce this season. He's going to be given a little bit of a longer leash because of Kansas historically, but he's got to win. Number 12, Chris Kleiman. Makes sense. Pretty safe. He's almost a carbon copy of Bill Snyder. So it's been a seamless transition, and it's been fun to watch for K-State. I agree there. This is where I disagree. Kyle Whittingham. How are you going to look at Utah season? How are you going to look at Kyle Whittingham's record, his bowl percentage, and all of that compared to Gundy and say that he's super duper safe, even though he's already hired his head coach in waiting? Yet he's 13th on this list. I would have Kyle Whittingham a little bit higher up on this list because when you hire a head coach in waiting, if you do have another lackluster season, well, they have an ample reason to get rid of you because your successor is already there. So I think that Kyle Whittingham should be at a bigger risk than this list, but that's about the only disagreement I had here with on 3. Then they have Matt Campbell, number 14. Yeah, he's probably going to ride that thing till the wheels fall off, as he should. Deion Sanders, pretty safe, 15. I get it. And then Kenny Dillingham, the safest in the conference at number 16. It's hard to argue any of those. But at the end of the day, it is unfortunate that I do agree that Mike Gundy is the top of this list. But unlike Brennan, unlike Satterfield, unlike Sonny, it's not because of production necessarily. It's not because of success. Like even Gundy haters, which I was teetering on that line at one point in time, even Gundy haters cannot say, well, you erase 18 years of success. He had one horrendous season, which is not good. Obviously, if you want to go backwards, you want to go to like 5-6 wins. That's backwards. But at the same point in time, he answered the call. He addressed the issues. He fired almost everybody. If your name is not Sean Snyder or a GA, you are gone. And the guys that we've hired and brought in are significantly more technically advanced. They're significantly more willing to jump into the action and make the players understand that this has to be a different season. It has to be a different team. It has to be a different mindset. I'm excited. I'm ready for Mike Gundy to embrace this and show the world what he's brought to Oklahoma State to prove the haters wrong. Even me, when I was in that Haterade club, I don't like what the Board of Regents has done. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's made me jump more and more and more on the Gundy train and him firing everybody. That's what I've been asking for years. Get rid of Casey Dunn. Maybe it's a little bit too late. Okay, fine. But if this year produces, then he's going to be off this list. And I'm all for it. Absolutely all for it. Just like I'm all for you having the best capabilities in your day-to-day operations, especially when it comes to finances. That's right. You guessed it. And football season is back when the ads are ready to get rocking and rolling to the max here. Monarch Money is what you need to help all of your financial dreams become realistic. Most people cannot name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. This is where Monarch Money is coming in for you. It's the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone or your desktop. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. This is going to be extremely beneficial for you. So get squared away today. Do not let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first entire year. That is 50% off your first full year at monarchmoney.com. Make sure that you use that code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get that full 50%. Get squared away with the best in the financial business today, which is Monarch Money. Football season is ad season because everybody's got to make the money, honey. Open Phone is here for you. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left out on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the person didn't answer the phone, it's high likelihood that you just kind of moved on to the next company or the next person. Probably missing an opportunity. If you run a business, you know how this feels. This is why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designated to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle multiple phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone is going to solve that for you instantaneously. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more of the guessing and wondering, well, who's going to handle this? Plus, they have an AI agent that's going to help you after hours with all calls, answering common questions and capturing leads so you never missed a customer again. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnCollege, all one word. That is openphone, openphone.com/LockedOn. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone is what you need to run a business. There's no missed calls. There's no missed opportunities if you're squared away today with Open Phone. All right, now we get to jump to the depth chart. This has been pretty fun. I do believe that the actual depth chart for the players is going to be put out this weekend. Since we have an earlier game, traditionally it would be coming out like next Monday, Tuesday, but I anticipate it might come out a little bit earlier because of a Thursday night ball game. Nonetheless, we've done the offensive side of the ball. There's been a couple things that have shaken up since we've done that, i.e., it appears as though Haas Haney is in fact going to start UT Martin, and Austin Kweke may very well be that starting right guard because he's earned it. He deserved it. It's just my opinion. If him and Noah McKinney are dead even, and Austin Kweke is already the backup center, already has the ability to be a backup tackle and can play both guard spots, I think you kind of almost want to leave him ready and available to be that sixth man. Nonetheless, I think the defense is going to largely be the calling card that carries Oklahoma State this season. I've talked ad nauseum about how much of a believer I am in Todd Grantham and Jules Montanar, Cap Dede, Ryan Osborne. I think that this defense is going to look similar to the Jim Knowles era. Now, does that mean we're going to have a top 3 national defense again? Probably not. But if you're in the top 30, top 40-ish range in most statistical categories, you're probably going to put yourself in a position to be successful. The upgrades in speed is going to be huge. The upgrades in size is going to be very visible. The upgrades in coaching, I think, is obviously going to translate on the field. But the biggest thing has been the upgrades in physicality. The violence of action that this team is operating with is something that I don't know that we've seen for almost 20 years. This is a Les Miles, old school, chew some grass, bang your heads together kind of operation right now, while also not fully tackling to the ground so you maintain some health. Let's go over this potential depth chart guess for me. All right. The cornerbacks are going to have to do a lot more, which we're going to cover here in a little bit. But I think Cam Smith has emerged to be the veteran leader to kind of slide in and take that Corey Black spot. Behind him, I think you have the 4'3", evidently speedster, and J.K. Johnson coming over from LSU right behind him. I think that the former 1,300-yard wide receiver, Eric Fletcher, is going to be another dude that factors into that room. On the other side of the field, I think UCLA transfer Jalen Davies started 2 years for the Bruins. I think he's going to slide in pretty seamlessly here at Oklahoma State. Then you have another veteran that's been in the system for a couple of years in the transfer, Kenneth Harris Jr. I think whenever you look at this cornerback room altogether, there's a ton of talent. I think you got to throw Smith into this equation as well. Then you got to jump to safety. As we all know, Zaquan is gone. The guy that has been bringing up the top end of this room has been David Kabongo. So David Kabongo should be starting safety. I think Parker Robertson makes sense to be directly behind him as well. And then when you go to free safety, I think Cam Epps is going to be the guy. Dylan Smith should be right behind him. Raymond Gay II should also be a factor into that safety room. Then if you go to the other safety, the robber safety, Jacoby Oliphant is going to be that guy. Cale Smith is going to jump in. Landon Cleveland certainly has the capability to jump in and provide here as well. Then we'll move on to the jack, a linebacker spot. I have currently Malik Charles leading, even though I feel like Wendell Gregory is poised for a massive season. Malik Charles might be the starter, might be, the categorization priority guy in big moments, but I think Wendell Gregory is going to make Colin Oliver level plays that win ball games. And then following Wendell Gregory, I have Taj McCoy. Outside linebacker. This one was a surprise to me. I assumed that Trip White was going to kind of run away with this, but it appears as though, or it feels like, Brandon Rawls is going to be that dude, followed by Trip White, followed by Darius Thomas. And yeah, we talked a couple weeks ago about how Jacoby Oliphant was playing this extra safety role, converting over from cornerback, but he was also in the linebacker meeting rooms. So there's a potential that he could slide over and play some linebacker. But with the Zaquan Patterson exit, I kind of feel like that it makes sense for him to be available as an additional safety as well. That's why I have him as the starting robber safety, but he's also going to factor into some of the other safety spots and potentially packaging in the linebacker room as well. All right, so Brandon Rawls, Trip White, Darius Thomas, outside linebackers. Middle linebackers, I have Brian McCoy, Ike Essenwoon, Gunnar Wilson. Followed by the defensive ends, I got Deshaun Brown, Kyron Duhon, and Landon Dean. The other defensive end spot, I got Jaleel Johnson, Armstrong Nodum, and Rashad Bradley, the big body beast down low. I've got Iman Oates, followed by Sid Vinny, Huffili, Kafusi. Then we have Aiden Kelly as well. That is the defensive depth chart, in my opinion. Obviously, let me know down in the comment section for all you fine folks out here on YouTube. What are your thoughts on my attempt to kind of throw together this defensive depth chart? It's always fun to look back at these and see kind of what was right, what was wrong, where we were off, and what we need to make an adjustment for. So let me know down in the comment section what you think about this defensive depth chart. Do you agree, disagree? Do you have some other players that should slide in here? And before we skedaddle and get to this segment 3, I do want to run back over offense. I did originally say I thought Zane Flores would win the job, followed by Haas Haney and Banks Bowen. It appears as though Haas Haney is likely to be the dude that rolls out UT Martin. So probably got to swap those. Running back, I had Rodney Fields, Trent Howland, Caleb Hicks, and Sesi Availahe. Tight end, obviously Josh Ford, followed by Oscar Hammond, then Will Money, then Quentin Stewart. Offensive tackle, Markel Samuel, Tyler Brumfield seem to be the dudes that are making things happen. The other tackle spot, Nuku Mafi, Louis Canepa, and I think Grant Sigrin is somebody that can slide over and play either tackle spot, so that versatility is going to be huge for him, much like the versatility of Austin Kweke. I did originally have Noah McKinney winning that right guard spot over Austin Kweke, even though they're essentially neck and neck and going back and forth on a continuous basis. But as I said, if Noah's already starting guard material, he's already penciled in as the backup center, he's somebody that we know can play tackle because we already watched it happen. I kind of would like to see him be freed up there. And then left guard spot, Bob Schick, the big old 6'6" Virginia Tech transfer, followed by Lavaca, the Weber State transfer that I'm not going to murder his last name. I think Davis Dotson could be something that factors in here as well. Center, the Tulsa transfer, Kason Carpenter put on 20 pounds, and now he's ready to rock and roll in Stillwater, Oklahoma, obviously followed by Austin Kweke and Jacoby Smith, the big body Stillwater, Oklahoma native. Wide receiver Z, I had Christian Fitzpatrick, followed by Terrell Davis and Cam Abshire. The X spot, I had Shamar Rigby and Io Showed My King. If Io Showed My King didn't have some bang-up injuries here and there, I do think that he would be starting at X. So it's going to be contingent upon the health of Io there. And then the Jalen Lloyd. Jalen Lloyd's also somebody who could be a factor at the slot receiver spot, in my opinion, which is led by Sam Jackson, followed by Gavin Freeman. I know words are hard for me. And finally, DeJuan Lofton. So that is my attempt at the depth chart breakdown. Again, it's going to be fun to look back at these after UT Martin or after they put out the depth chart and kind of see where we need to make adjustments. But anywho, again, let me know down in the comments section for all you YouTube folks. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What do you think I should change? Who do you think I should add? So on and so forth. And if you just want to say, Cody, you're crazy, that's okay too. I've been called worse. But, it's all about football season, capitalization, and some of that is monetary gains. The best in daily fantasy picks is back. PrizePicks is here for you. They're here for all of us today. The daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is definitely already heating up for the NFL. The spring, fall is coming to a wrap. We're getting ready for college season. It's right around the corner here. We're getting ready to kick off Big 12 and college football in Ireland with K-State, Iowa State. I can't wait. Get in on the PrizePicks. Whether you've got your eye on a big-name quarterback doing big things or a breakout running back or breakout wide receiver, PrizePicks makes it easier for you to get in the game. Right now, we got a weekly flyer. For this weekend, PrizePicks is offering major max discount. Max discount number 1, Avery Johnson, max discount. Max discount number 2, maybe Dak Prescott, max discount. Throw those things in, put them together, watch the winnings happen. If you've ever used PrizePicks, you'll know that it's the best way. You just kind of pick and choose and watch it happen. Download PrizePicks today. You can get it in the App Store. You can use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get $50 off. Or $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Excuse-moi. Get that $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 bet. Make sure you use that code, all one word, LOCKEDONCollege, to get that $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. You know what it is. It is PrizePicks. You need to get in on the action because it's your opportunity to run your game. If that's not it for you, well, FanDuel, you go the traditional route instead of the daily fantasy style stuff. August 26th is the official FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who love to live life on the edge and make some bold predictions and get some preseason hunches rocking and rolling. For just a 24-hour period, FanDuel is giving you deals on the NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, you're eyeing the long shot division winner, conference winner, or you're ready to crown a Super Bowl champ, national champ, even before week 1 happens, this is your moment. This is your opportunity. Take a flyer on your MVP race. Grow your champion in August, or parlay your division winner for dark horse capabilities. Visit FanDuel in the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is a one-day holiday and it's only for you guys. Get with FanDuel to be part of this holiday, this one-day holiday. It's your game. It's your way. It's FanDuel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get on off of here, the loss of Zaquan Patterson, the emergence of David Kabongo, the ability of guys like Landon Cleveland and DeAndre Boykins, Jacoby Oliphant, I think it is going to be visible, right? Parker Robertson's definitely going to factor into this whole ordeal. But at the end of the day, the cornerback room is going to have to step up and make some crazy things happen. Like we talked about Cam Smith finally taking that leadership role, getting better and reeling people down, right? As a CB, sometimes you're going to get beat, especially if you're in press or man coverage. The ability to get back and be a disruptive force as the ball is coming into play, that is something that is seemingly Cam Smith has done much, much better at in this offseason. Then you have Jalen Davies, multiple-year starter at UCLA, played in the Big Ten, played a little bit in the Pac-12. I think that is going to be something that we can utilize quite a bit this season. You got to throw Kale into this mix as well, right? Of course. And then J.K. Johnson, the speedster that was one time a massive consensus 4-star Ohio State player who played at Ohio State. Then he goes to LSU, starts at LSU, plays at LSU, has an injury, then loses his roster spot after the injury. So he decides to come to Oklahoma State. He's good enough probably to be a starter. But the fact that we have somebody like J.K. Johnson being CB3, to me, is absolutely massive. We just discussed how Jacoby Oliphant, he may be size-wise growing out of his cornerback playing abilities, but I think in a pinch, he could definitely still get it done because that's what he started spring as, right? He was still a corner then. So some of the safety linebacker stuff is new for him. I mentioned Eric Fletcher. Like you go back and look at some of his transfer highlights and go look at his high school highlights, his natural hands. He reads the trajectory very, very well. He's got good high point skills for 50-50 balls. He almost knows how to run the routes for the wide receivers because that's what his whole life has been, primarily wide receiver. Naturally, he's going to have a decent number of the amount of the track speed. LaDainian Fields. We probably do not talk about LaDainian Fields enough. I didn't realize that he had a sub 10, 500 meter time before even coming to Oklahoma State. Now he's gotten bigger. Now he's seemingly gotten faster. He's lowered his body fat percentage. We got to see some glimpses of him last year, primarily on special teams, but we got to see the same thing out of guys like Jacoby Oliphant. This cornerback room has to be big. Kenneth Harris Jr. been in the system now a couple of years, was a massive, massive contributor to Arkansas State. He's played sparingly. He's been a dude that could pop in and make some pretty cool stuff happen. But whenever you look at this cornerback room as a whole, it is imperative that they have to step up and do a little bit more now with the loss of Zaquan Patterson. We're clearly in a better position with David Kabongo. But now the problem is if David Kabongo, God forbid, has an injury, we're putting ourselves in a pretty tight spot. But the X factor is always going to be, and you can probably beat me to it and guess it down in the comments section or the live section before I say it. The X factor in the cornerback room is Jules Montanar. Jules Montanar might just be him, right? Ryan Osborne has been a breath of fresh air times 7,000 as a defensive line coach. Todd Grantham has been a breath of fresh air as well as a DC. But Jules Montanar, the cornerback coach, I have a lot of faith, especially when you have like Coach Dean Marlowe out there in cleats, bodying up, running routes, getting involved, getting mixed up in the action as a coach that just got out of the NFL. Things like that, I think, should allow this CB cornerback room to excel enough to kind of cover up the potential loss of a guy like Zaquan Patterson, because you cannot deny the talent and the ability, the athleticism, the speed, all of it was Zaquan, the hitting capabilities. But you got to take care of your P's and Q's. It is what it is. NIL money is the motivator. But if you're getting big boy dollar bills and NIL, you gotta do what you're supposed to do on a continuous basis. Anywho, let me know down in the comment section what you think. All you fine folks out here in podcasting country, you're everything that makes this work. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go, folks. Hit the like button if you liked it. Dislike if you didn't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you know what to do. Hit the stars. Leave some reviews. All righty, y'all. You know the drill. We out of here. Later, taters.